Okay, Jamie. So first of all, I think you should work in the armor, right? You can take one of these blue colors, like the clearest one, like for example that one, okay? And we are going to focus first. I'm gonna do it in a separate layer. We're going to focus here, and we're going to focus here, which is basically how the volumes show up better in the screen from this point of view. So the first thing you have to choose is what will be the main view of it. If you think that the main view is this one, that seems to, because it's the one that you have sent me several times, or I have seen maybe in the group we have with other people. So we are going to focus in this, okay? So first, let's go with the blue. Highlight the edges always, and concentrate the color here. This will help you to clean the effect. I know that you are a smooth guy. You want to make it more like classical. You want to make it more like render, which is fine. It's a matter of choice, obviously. Check the edges. That's important. Here, light will go here, not in the outer shape. And this will help you also to define, same as here. That could be a little bit darker if you want. It could be like maybe this color. So you can go for a more saturated one. And intermediate tones here, so you can make the blending. You are highlighting the edges, which is a very typical way to understand the volumes for the people who maybe come from the war game. And it's not that it's bad, but it's a little bit too simplistic, right? So it's better, you have to understand the volume, the full volume. Here, everything in the apps, especially the central part, excuse me. Everything receive light here, okay? I'm just taking the lights you have placed already and go to define the shapes a little bit better. If you see, I cover the full surface, like clack, clack, all the full surface. Then you will be able to add some extra lights to make him more reflective, like this. But initially, it's better if you take one color and you just go all over the surface, especially the planes that are in this direction, right? All the ones that comes from this direction that are more plain, how can I say this, like perpendicular to the light, right? They will receive light all over the volume, right? Here, you can enlarge the light following all the surface all the way down. Here we have it, here. Here, if you want to separate that the knee pad has like an edge in the center, right? You can do it, but first understand it like an egg, and then you go for the lights. Here I'm doing your light. You have decided to place the light here, which is nice, but you have to continue it. And this is a plane, right? So here, light goes in the upper part, right? You have to get rid of this mentality of just the edges that sometimes I see in your figures. It's not just the edges. You have to understand every single plane, every single volume separately by itself. Here, by some kind of stippling, you could make some noise that then you can make the transition by blending with the glaze. And also it's good if you separate the element from the outside. So you can add another light coming from this side. This is to separate this from the background that is dark enough, but it will help you. Sometimes those are tricks to make like an illustrational effect, focus in a more specific first view, which will be this one. More light here. Okay, so this will be like the blue part. It still needs some highest reflections, but I will not do them until I finish the other elements. It's important that you work in many elements at once, otherwise you will never see it finish, right? So it's better to work a little bit everywhere. Also, one thing I see is that the darkest shadows are a projection of the own figure. That's the reason why you have to learn how to take good pictures, which is super easy. You can do it with any decent cell phone. And I will show you later. I will do a video for all of you. Here, let's separate the plane a little bit more. Same as you have done here. Here as well. You see, more contrast. Then move to the helmet. You see this light that the own material is projecting? This is your path. This is what you have to follow. So let's take, if you want to go for this dark red, then you can go for a cold red for the lights that goes all over. And the helmet has this shape. So this is the shape you have to follow. You can do one, or you can do two, like here, for example. Or even better, and we connect through this toppest point, also here, there, and edges. Edges means every edge, okay? So here we have a drawing. It's like a sculpted drawing, like a filigree, and we have to highlight it. Also the edges here. Okay? If you want to make it more colorful, you can do this and then filter with a glaze, and you take some proper red like this, like a scarlet or something like this, and in another layer Something like this. If you want to like a super polish and brightful, can I say brightful? Well, with a lot of brightness and very shiny and polished armor, maybe it's better that you go, instead of always going with white, which is something that you have done everywhere. You're highlighting everything with white or with something that has a lot of white, or with a tertiary color, something that has been make it grayish somehow, desaturated. It's good if you saturate some of the colors. So here it will be interesting if you can saturate this part of these lights, because obviously it helps you to make this feeling of a super shiny armor, right? So I will merge these two layers first. You can reduce it a little bit if you don't want it so bright. At first, it will be hard for you to do things brighter because you are not used to the strength of the colors like this. But you can start doing something like that. Then you can start gaining color like this. And then you can end up being like that. This kind of colors, more saturated, especially for the mid lights or for the main rhythms of lights, it will help you to create this metallic effect. Because the metallic one is a colored chrome. The reflection normally is so saturated. So you can keep it maybe something like this. Could be interesting. Then I will merge these ones. So now we have one. And then you need to, even if you're using airbrush, by now and then it's better to, separate again. Because this will help you to see how far you have to go with the blendings, right? Not the smoothness, okay? The blendings. Keep the vocabulary. That is important. We search for definition, okay? So something like this would be good. And then we can go for something more reflective. Like I will take this red, which is a brown red. You see, it's like a crimson. It's a little bit, it looks a little bit tertiary because it's a little bit browny, looks like, at least in the figure. Obviously, you know that digital is different, but we make an adaptation of this. We can go for something darker, like this. Even changing the tone, maybe like a purple or something. And then you can focus here. You're gonna increase the feeling of the reflection. So you place it first, like this. In certain areas, it will be so close to the highlight that it will create this super chrome effect, right? And then let's move to the highlights, because here, that's a perfect example of how to define. You take this, and then highlights, edges, all the edges. And at this point, I think it's important for you define this. Okay, something like that will work pretty well. Then you can blend. Don't blend everything perfectly, because if you blend everything, then you lose the effect. A chrome effect is an effect because it has contrast. If you blend everything, it will never look like a metallic. The key of a metallic is not blending everything. So something like that will work pretty well. Then you can go for higher lights. Something like this will work probably. We go more fine, more thin, and certain elements like the edges and maybe a main rhythm. That would be a good idea to make a cold red here. Here in the upper edges and the lateral ones, but not the down ones. And here as well, last light here in the top of the volume, and then edge, and then dot here. Just with this, it looks like chrome. Obviously, you can blend it more or less. It also depends on your taste. I will not blend it too much, because if you see Kirill Kanaev, for example, and he's a good example of this, you will see that however the feeling, however the look looks blended, but indeed it is not. You know, and this is important, because has to be an effect, right? It has to look defined, not blended. It's different, okay? You can see here brushstrokes everywhere. And this helps you also to create a rhythm that belongs to the surface. See how he connects lights, like for example, this light bling, 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 goes here, connects with that. So light travels through the surface. It's not one spot and that's it, right? And it follows some shapes and some rhythms. And when you find these rhythms, it's not easy to explain it in one video. Obviously, I will make many videos explaining things like that, which is super complex. But simplifying it for you, first you have to connect lights, and then you have to take it into account that this is not blended, but it looks amazing, right? It's a different thing. Look at that. How many lines, shapes, different drawings. You see? So there are brushstrokes, right? Even this one who is more polished, but you can see the brushstrokes like tack, 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 tack. Brushstrokes everywhere. Some parts are more defined. Sometimes some parts are more smooth in a way, you know, like more simplistic, less reflective, which is fantastic. This is a fantastic material interpretation. But you know, like here, the projected shadow is drawn, and you don't make a blending here. Okay, I hope that is clear. Returning to your piece. Now that we have this element so reflective, then we have to move down and return to the blue. Now is the time to return to the blue. We can move here. This is what your natural tendency. We can move here. This is highlighting something, but also with a more saturated color that looks better, believe me, in an armor. And here you can add some other reflections, like secondary reflections that goes in the same direction of the body, and this will help you easily to make the feeling of something that is wide, because the torso doesn't end here. It ends maybe here. No, this is the shape of the torso. You see? Indeed, you could add in the lateral view like a subtle light here that will help you to define what is the size of the chest. Returning to this color again and increasing the light in certain elements, especially in the ones that are focused in the chest. You see, is to campaign to go with the level of reflection of the top, right? You can go this shape, this shape, this shape, this. You see now it's smaller than the previous step, right? Also in edges. Something like that could work. And then let's move to the chest, and I'm gonna leave it here because I think that you have to arrive to this point to see if you feel comfortable with the technique. One thing you can start doing now is like also like starting adding colors here, you know, to see if it works. Like maybe this could be an idea. I don't know if you have a reference or you're following a reference, because I guess that this is a character you follow or you like, but something like this could work. This will be a very interesting, but simple. Sometimes it's good, you know. Simple and interesting goes well together sometimes, you know. Sometimes we try to make things more complex than we need. Then we move to the non-metallic here, the chest. And I will take this color, what you see is a brown here. And we'll make it more ochreish, okay? More greenish, yellowish, orangey, but more ochreish, right? We can go here, for example. And then if you have said to me that this is the main rhythm of light, then just fulfill the surface, right? Here, and then it goes. The light doesn't travel till here and then it jumps. It follows a rhythm, right? So it has to go down as well. And here, we can keep this separation. Edges, use the same color. Edges, edges, here. So sometimes you have to be flat to be convincing, like this. Also, this will help you to clean the effect. Here, look. Don't make a transition everywhere, mate. Sometimes a flat color works better. ¿Qué cojones? Then if it's more difficult for you to keep the shadows that separates the element, that will be this little, then you can recover it again and regain this little separation that indeed is representing a small drop shadow from this blue part that is covering the yellowish part, okay? So you can go for this super goldy material. I will probably reduce this a little bit. This is your color. See how grayish it is? It's very grayish. You can move and see that you're using something that has a lot of red. It's better to move to something like that. That will work much better. Which looks similar, but is not similar. And I promise you that this will help you to be more technical without so much effort. Okay, and then you can make the transition here. So you place first this dark reflection, this light reflection, and then make transition. Because I know you like things in a classical way, more smooth. Okay, a little bit here, and maybe you can add a little bit here, maybe. That will be enough. Okay, and then on top of that, we take the color, we go up, we change the yellow in this case, we move for a more fluorescent yellow, something like that could work. And then highlights. Here, not white, mate, okay? Instead of maybe here, maybe here, okay? And then obviously here as well a little bit, here, because this is the light area, so the closer it is to the chest, it will receive more light. It's not a logical thing, it's more like an illustrative decision, or illustrational decision, I don't know how to say that, okay? So now it looks more goldy. And you can even try to use this color to maybe highlight the red a little bit, and this, but only in a very tiny line of reflection. That will help you to make it more interesting. And maybe here in the edges as well. Maybe in the point, in the board vertex. Well, this these points, a little bit more. That could be interesting already. And then with the white, I will just work for the moment with some gray like this. some gray like this, okay? I will just work on the shadows a little bit more, because this looks like shadows that you have not painted. So sometimes these pictures are good to tell you where you have to paint the shadows. A little bit more here and a little bit more here. And then take this color, make an intermediate tone, and glaze on top. You have to pay attention on the future videos of techniques, so you can learn not only glazing, okay? Because you will need to improve in this way to find more technical resources. Okay, that will be enough for the moment, and then we can work in a future video. We can work in the maybe in the drawing. Okay, if you want to make a drawing or something, I will take probably this red, and this red it will go here, there. That's very simplistic, but I think it will work really well, because it's a basic composition to distribute the colors all over the surface. Maybe here. And now you have this, okay? And here, I don't know, it can have a, whatever, an Eldar symbol. I don't know Eldar symbols. I knew in the past, because I collected Eldars for a while when I was very young. But well, whatever kind of symbol, adapting it to the shape of the model. Okay. Well, I hope this has been useful for you. Give me any comments in the next email. I hope you can give me more time to develop this, because I think it will be very beneficial for you. But obviously, and I agree with you on that, we have to go more step by step, because in your case you have to also to develop certain technical skills that you will do, but you still need to learn them. Let's move to some turquoise before leaving it, and we're gonna do the last part, which is highlighting. You see, it looks bluish, but it's not bluish, and it's much better than use blue with white in this case, because this turquoise is more interesting for the eye and is more powerful than adding white to the blue, right? So something like this. Here, why here? Because the light, I'm placing the light coming from this side, but also coming from this side. So this is controversial, right? This shouldn't be like that, but we're not searching for a logic. We're searching, sorry. Fuck. Sometimes it doesn't work. Well, we are not searching for a logic. We're searching for something visual, right? Something that works visually, right? So in this case, I'm helping to focus here, right? And use this color to highlight. Now is when you can highlight the edges without problems, right? All the edges indeed, okay? You can work all over. Not all the edges everywhere, instead of just a touch here and I stop. I don't continue all the edge down, because it's already highlighted, right? Only a few touches. Clean, clean, following the same rhythm. Okay, and that's it. I think it works much better. Okay, okay. I hope you have learned with this. I'm gonna show you your previous image so you can check. So you can check what have you done. Why I cannot find your why? Okay, they are here. So we're gonna load your previous one. I think it's that one. Yep. So you can see the difference, right? So that will be like your first steps to create something illustrated. And well, I hope it has been useful. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much. See you next month, I hope.